Welcome to the BigBusinessZoo.com speaker series on how to increase your sales, network, and site rank. This series features video segments that highlight powerful ways to leverage digital assets such as video, podcasts, blogging, mobile apps, and other digital tools. Today's guest is Jennifer Bagley. Miss Bagley is the founder of DNetTV.com, a collaborative digital network and membership system. Jennifer is also the creator of the 12-Step Roadmap, which is a support system to accelerate results by doing the right things in the right order at the right time. As you're about to see and hear, customers of her company, CI Web Group, and audiences from her many speaking appearances simply rave about her ability to provide immediate value, not only in addressing today's challenges in the digital landscape, but also how she creates solutions for businesses to not just survive, but to thrive and accelerate their results beyond what they originally thought possible. And now, here is your profitability strategist, marketing maven, as well as our beloved zookeeper, Catherine B. Trainer.
So we're here with Jennifer Bagley, 12-Step Roadmap, and DNetTV.com, and we're going to focus on 12-Step Roadmap and DNetTV.com because those are focused on her area of expertise, which is getting your online footprint, your website, and your visibility at the top of ranking where you're findable, where people engage and understand what you're doing, and your content gets out to exactly who you need to. So Jennifer, I want to jump right in and start with what excites you the most about what you do and the digital tools that you have available now that are new?
I mean, it's massive. I mean, I think all over the board, you know, I'm excited about being able to help business owners be able to, you know, sometimes it's come out of a recession and it's a mental recession. Sometimes it's, you know, flip their economy. Again, it's a mental economy. You know, change their bank account, change their lifestyle, provide them, you know, more balance between everything. I have a little bit of a different kind of drive behind what I do. I love technology. I am a nerd. I try and disguise it with cute shoes. However, I really, really love the entire model of business. And you know, I've got 12 years in corporate and an executive level in supply chain compliance and operations and logistics. So I get the infrastructure of a business, and then have been self-employed for the last 12 years. So it's been very, very cool transition to be able to use the corporate background and apply today's technology and really, really be able to help guide people. You know, I'm also blessed to have a 15-year-old. I have my son, so I'm constantly surrounded by this new generation of individuals who communicate differently. They persuade differently. They influence differently. They think differently. And quite frankly, 1,000 days from now, anybody who's interested in being in business, you have a new set of employers, employees, competitors, and potential prospects, which is my son. And they're going to be the influencers of those new purchases. And so I think what excites me the most is that we're constantly growing, we're constantly changing, we're constantly evolving. You and I mean, we just turned on Google Hangout this morning, and it's new, it's different. So every training video we've ever done for the last however many years, it's old. I always say, you know, you use these statements, you're like, back in the olden days. I'm like, well, in our world, the olden days was last month. So.
I know we were talking one day about my first computer had a 10 megahertz processing speed, and then a 15 megahertz turbo button, which of course I immediately turned on and never turned it off. Because I had to have the speed, and where things have come in that, I mean, not cell phones are 10 times that.
Yeah, it's
10 times that, 20 times that, and that's another thing that I want to go over today too. Is because of that younger generation, things have gone mobile, and they're going mobile so fast. It's incredible, and that's one of the opportunities that that you have working with your group. Is you are up on the mobile ready sites, mobile apps, because that's critical to being visible as people are more and more transitioning to where they're using their smartphone or tablet, and they're not even purchasing desktops unless they're actually having serious graphic work or spreadsheets or things like that. A huge shift, and happening, I think, faster than what anybody predicted.
Oh, absolutely. And the half of what I try and teach is just the process of change and adaptation, being able to adopt, being able to modify what you do, how you do it, and so forth, faster and quicker and so forth. Because what you said, the time difference between technology advancements now versus a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, we're talking about light years. I mean, this is what's going to, a good example is you can take an entire population of teenagers, and 6 months ago they were on Facebook. 3 months later they were on Twitter, and now Facebook is for dead people. There's an entire population of people on the planet that literally changed the communication tool that they use entirely in a 90-day time frame. So part of this is getting used to the technologies, and part of it is, dang it, get used to change and get used to change quickly. When you talk about when did you have your website built, if you're talking about your website was built 2 years ago, the website is a dinosaur. Right. If you're not upgrading your theme, if you're not transitioning, I mean, we went from having WordPress sites to WordPress that needed to be done, and you needed to have a mobile website that was developed as well, to having an HTML5 website, to then having a responsive design, to needing a responsive design and a mobile app in order to be able to live online, in order to be able to do business or communicate. And all of that transition happened in the last 18 months. Which means you should have technically went through, if you're a business owner, you should have technically went through 3 to 4 redesigns in that time frame. And right. it's interesting because the way people think about the expense or investment related to technology is they think about it as an expense. The expense is not doing it right. It's not the cost it costs to get it done. It's the lost opportunity cost that you waste and lose and can't even measure for not doing it right. So getting your mind right and getting to the point where you realize how fast you make decisions, how quickly you make those changes. Do you have an advisor in your back court that you're able to call and say, you know what, what's new, what's next? You know, do I have the latest theme? Do I have the latest technology? Should I be operating with my old mobile website, or should I be in a responsive theme? Should I use a mobile app? I have, I talked to people this morning. I talked to a woman, and she was saying, well, I've got to stay in touch with existing clients. It finally sunk in. This is critical. She said, I heard you speak. My #1 source of new business should come from existing clients. And the first thing she did was go back to, I'm going to send them a mailer with some Skittles. And I was really challenged with that. I was like, well, we went through and I interviewed the 400 people sitting in the audience, and I said, how many of you check the mail? Great. What do you do with the mail? First thing you do is go to the trash. So why would you use that as a tool right now to be able to get back with your old customers if they instantly go to the trash, especially with the type of business that she had? I was like, okay, so do you check your text messages? Yes. Great. Do your customers all have a mobile app on their phone that gives them direct access to you? No. I said, okay, so you're saying that for your customers, if that's your most leveraged asset, if that's your most powerful asset, but you're going to let your customer go to Google and try and find your website in order to find you, which presents many options. If that's my #1 asset, I'm going to have a mobile app in their hand, and if they need to get a hold of me, they open the mobile app, they go to it, they're not going to Google. So I mean, there's small little things. If you have a mobile app in every one of your clients' hands, if you have the most updated website, integrated blog, all in one platform, preferably in WordPress, if you have an integrated CRM system, so all your data flows into one system, you're not getting emails of leads, and you can actually measure your marketing campaigns. If you have just those 3 pieces of technology and then surround it by your network, you're going to be golden. You're going to be at least you're ready to play the game. Everything is show up, suit up, and participate. So show up, are you ready to play? Suit up, get the right things in order, then play, participate. Now you're talking about social networking and blogging and content and what we're doing.
Well, what we're doing, and then I think what a lot of people get confused by, there's this shiny object thing, and so they're creating a lot of content, they're putting it on Facebook, they're putting it on Twitter, or they're putting it on Google+, but they're not putting it on their website. Your website is your permanent anchor home for what you're doing and what you're creating, and if you don't keep everything centered there, those platforms come and go and come and go and come and go, and that every bit of work that you put into that is gone. It's just poof.
That you are 5,000% right. When I see businesses putting more time and energy into a flippin' social media site where the content lasts for a matter of 4 seconds, if you have any type of decent network, you don't own the content, you don't own the platform. The platform can go dead and the entire audience can move to another platform. Imagine the number of people who were doing all their marketing and built their business on MySpace or Friendster.
Right.
Those are gone. They're over. You don't own it. You can never make your primary asset and investment of resources, time, money, content, energy, anything into something you don't own. It's the same thing where you see businesses that are, and I'm just going to be real, they're cheap. And they make a cheap decision and they go with blogger.com, blogspot.com, mywebsite.wordpress.com, dumb, and dumber. You cannot do that. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to be nice. Like, at some point, somebody has to have like shaken baby syndrome with you.
Well,
you can't do that.
Get real. I mean, hey, how hard is it to be in business? I mean, that's, I've got Big Business Zoo. Why? Because you're an endangered species. Everything is so flat. You are in a global economy. You're competing, even if you have a local business, you are competing with people all over the world. You have getting funding and financing for a business is not like it used to be, where you could go to the bank or you could do things. You have to really be on it, and you have to really focus on profits, profitability, having great employees, and having your operations, focused on exactly what's making you money. And that's where people don't understand that the element of being findable online is critical path job one. And we know that not only because it's statistically proven by people that study how people operate online, but also just anecdotally, you see people out when you're out and about on their cell phones or their tablets or whatever, and you know what you do yourself when you want to find something, you Google it.
People do business two ways: A, via referral, B, via the internet, and C, they validate their referrals by going to the internet before they actually make a purchase or a phone call. You cannot get away with doing business without having an incredible digital footprint and knowing. Now, that we also have to kind of pull back a little bit, because I get the fact that as a business owner who specializes in HVAC or legal or insurance or real estate or mortgage or whatever it is, or the restaurant shop down the street, it doesn't matter what it is. I get the fact you don't even know the right questions to ask to be able to choose the proper service provider. The challenge is that in our industry, you have everybody and their brother who picks up a WYSIWYG editor and decides that they're a web designer. And that the fact of the matter is, there is no Mary or Joe or Tom who has the personality. They're not born with the capability to get the job done. The reason is you need a coder. A coder, most of the time Friday night their friends are in IRC on a three-way chat window, right? Or a big relay window. They drink Red Bull, they listen to, some techno rock music, and that's how they spend their Friday night. You have to have a coder because they understand Google's webmaster requirements. They're not going to build websites and tables and tabular data and garbage. Then you have to have a designer. Designers, they have friends, they dress nice, they know they're not wearing the ripped jeans and flip-flops, they actually look presentable, they have real friends and so forth. They're creative, a little bit slower in nature. That's one personality type. Those two bodies don't come together. And then on top of that, you've got to have an engineer. And that's an SEO engineer. They're mathematical people. They think in data and numbers and algorithms and so forth. And they're not going to make, if you put the coder and the engineer together, you're going to have a god-awful website. You might be able to get in front of 1 million people, but you're never going to convert because they're not conversion people. They're slower processors. And then you got to have a social media person, and your social media people, oh my gosh, they're friends with everybody. They're crazy. Those are really fun people, but they're not. So on top of all of that, none of those people are actually business strategists. And a business, you know what I mean? They're not. Yeah. They don't understand operations and logistics and margins, profits, how to take a product to market, how to do analytics. So then you got to have a project manager, because if you put all of them on one project, they're going to fall behind. They're not going to keep the project on task. So I get the fact, worst case scenario, please note that if you're working with a company, you've got to make sure that they have the right set of resources, even available to even be able to do that. But gosh, get a coach, call one of us, get some input, get some advice. If I have someone come here to fix my air conditioning, and they present me 3 different bids, I have no clue what questions to ask. My palms sweat. I have no idea. That is so far out of my scope. Going to an auto dealer, no clue. Or a repairman, it's the same thing in this. So do your due diligence way up front because it costs so much to do it wrong.
Right, because like what we talked about earlier, it's not just the cost. It's not an expense. The expense of putting it together that costs you. It's the invisibility, the expense of people not making a decision because there's no call to action, or them not ever seeing you is huge. And if you just take a few steps, you're just, because you take action and because you're doing these things, you are at the top of the food chain. I mean, that's what I'm seeing with people that I'm working with that are getting their strategy right, that are getting their tagging right, that are getting things where they're visible. They're moving and having a mobile responsive site that complies with what Google wants to see, and adding some video content and things. They're just, bam, right at the top of visibility. You have a huge opportunity window right now if you're somebody that's going to take action and keep making things fresh and keep doing it right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But if you don't, you're really done bad.
Yep.
So
I think a lot of that has to do, the 12-step roadmap is designed to help people do the right things in the right order at the right time. And the challenge is you take a business owner, they really want to learn the digital marketing aspect, they want to understand social media, so they go to a class, they sit in a class where you have some twit teaching them how to tweet, and all of a sudden they're supposed to win. I'm just playing. So no, you don't go play on Twitter if you have a website that's not producing customers. There is an order to your investment and your time and your energy and your resources and your development, and you got to realize every person you talk to is a salesperson. They're gonna sell you on why. I just talked to a woman this morning who a gentleman called her and sold her on a video marketing platform. $500 a month. He creates one video every other month. He doesn't create a video. He has one video for HVAC companies that he retitles, and he puts a bumper at the beginning of it that has their company name. It's the exact same video beginning to end. He resells that video over and over and over again to all different HVAC companies, tells them he's doing video marketing. All he does is take the video, throw a bumper on it with their name, put it up on Google or on YouTube, gives it the exact same title for every HVAC company, and just changes the location and tells them they're buying the city. I just went in and looked at his YouTube channel. He's got probably 100 videos on there, of which only 6 variations. 100 videos, 6 different versions of the video, and not more than 40 views. The average view is 3. And that's in a 2-year time frame, and all those people are paying him $500 a month. I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was like, it's just a scam. Should you do video marketing? Absolutely. Should you do that? Absolutely not.
And then we get upset. I get upset to see people ripped off, because I had a service company for 20 years, and it's hard. And people really don't understand. And then too, I get upset with the business owners too, Jennifer, because like I work with a Chamber of Commerce, and I talk to their marketing director, and she puts on all these programs, and they're on Facebook, and they're on websites, and they're on things like that. And she says the only feedback I get is, how do I turn on Facebook? How do I log in? If it's not at that level, it's too hard. And I told her, I said, you know what? If that's the only feedback you're getting, these people should not even be having a business.
It is.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, and then you get back to you're right, and you get back to, then you got to go deeper, and you got to sit down with the business and start with the why.
Yeah.
Why did you get into business? My guess is you got into business for freedom, money, more time with your family, don't have to work for the man, all the traditional things that make somebody want to become an entrepreneur. However, the choices and decisions that you make, the things you choose to do, the things you choose not to do, the things you choose to learn and not to learn, are going to make sure that you, at best, if you are like 90% of the business owners on the planet, at best you will feel like you have a job forever if you make it through your first year's tax rolls.
Right.
That is you are right about that. The process of becoming an entrepreneur is already difficult, and the challenge is you have, there's tons of motivational speakers out there. They're like, you know what, anybody can do anything. That's not true. No. Your personality has a lot to play on whether or not you're going to be good as a financial planner or as a realtor or as whatever. But the bottom line is, no matter what your subject matter expertise is, no matter what, if whatever your skill or trait is, you better learn one thing really quick is you better become a freaking good marketer. You've got to become a marketer. You have to know how to generate leads and opportunities. I talked to a gentleman yesterday who is so great. He came out of my Mitsubishi conference, and he's 65 years old, and the guy gets on the phone, and he was like, when we were at the conference, and there's 1,000 people in the conference, and he said, and you were talking, and you said, how many of you are getting at least 50% of your leads from your website? And no one raised their hand. He was like, I had my hand up like this. And he was like, I'm 60-something years old. And he said, he said in his first year in business, he did $1 million in sales. Second year in business, he did $2.5 million in sales. That man knows as much about SEO as my 15-year-old son, which is good.
Yeah.
That's really good. I mean, he has learned it. He doesn't want to do it, but he's willing to write the content. He's willing to participate. And he's like, why wouldn't I do that? The only way we get business is off of everything that's online. I would never put a penny anywhere else. He was like, I get it. And he said, all I could think about when no one raised their hands at that conference is, A, Jen, you have a huge opportunity to make a lot of money in this room. And B, I hope you don't, because I'm going to squash the heck out of everyone sitting in here who doesn't get it.
Because there's no borders.
Mm-hmm.
You can get sales and you want to now. That's right.
You'll love this. This is how sharp this guy was. Uh-huh. He said, I went home that night and I was thinking about your presentation. When I got back, I thought about, you know what? I'm going to create my own lead generation website for the HVAC community, and I'm going to sell these guys leads since they don't want to learn it.
And they really don't. And that's okay. And that's one of the things I do want to swing it around. First of all, I want to reinforce, if you're listening to this on the podcast or if you're watching this, Jennifer's site, she's got these other sites, but go directly to 12-Step Roadmap because it's visual and it takes you step by step, boom, 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 the sequence. And that's one of the things that I love and adore because you came out of the corporate and the logistics. Even though this is marketing, if there's not a sequence that will lead to profitability, don't do it.
Yes.
You'll be busy, and you'll be wasting your time and wasting your money. So there is a sequence for putting together your online footprint that makes sense, that you can take it step by step by step by step. You can get the people to help you that you need, and you don't have to be all stressed out by these changes that are just going to continually be happening because there are foundational building blocks that you can adjust to the change in technology, but those elements need to be there for you to be findable online. And Jennifer and them have done a great job outlining it on that site. So as far as just laying it all out there, because there's a lot of details, but they do need to be done in a certain order to get the ranking and to get things effectively. And then you're majoring on the majors and not just because you can spend all day tweeting and Facebooking and never make a dime.
Absolutely.
And that's not your critical path. You've got to stick with it. This is, if you're in business, be serious and have a business.
I love that you said critical path. I can tell you have a PMP background behind you.
I
I am a certified project manager, at least I was 10 years ago, and I was a black belt in supply chain, or in, Six Sigma. So you said critical path. Very few people talk like that.
I tell you, I taught my daughter how to plan a Thanksgiving dinner with a Gantt chart.
That is funny.
12 years old. We had Thanksgiving for 18 people. The hot food was hot. The cold food was cold. And even when the people were an hour and a half late, everything was perfect. And she said, "Mom, does everybody use charts like this?" And I said, "Nope. Not everybody has dinner like this either."
That is awesome. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
This is
great. I know we got to keep it rolling because you got another appointment. So we've we've really covered the first two questions. Great. I want to go back and talk about what is your favorite way to make a difference in the world, make a world a better place.
Well, I think it's twofold. So number one, I do this. I mean, I do as much training and speaking and educating as possible, and that's my goal with business owners. However, for those people who know me very intimately, and I don't talk about it very much, my ultimate goal that this will lead into is developing a very alternative education system that is based on a digital environment, a mobilepreneurship, mobile children, mobile families, you know, people where the city, the state, the country is not a boundary. And I really would like to develop one of the most, what I believe will be one of the most powerful education platforms, most sought after group of children who are able to learn digitally, interactively, and through life experiences versus textbooks. And so at some point, I'm going to get to there. That is my ultimate goal. But for now, it is trying to fix their parents.
At least get them aware that there is a Vine, and there is a Snapchat, and there is a Twitter. Things are happening out there. You better know.
Yeah, that's so funny.
So, next thing is prognosticating into the future, and what I would like you to prognosticate on, which isn't really fair, but I know it's a wave. I know it's a trend. I know it's a powerful thing. Let's talk about DNET for a few minutes.
Absolutely.
Because what I'm seeing with DNET, and the reason that I got involved, is not only are you collaborating and interacting with a group of people that are top performers, that are serious about business, that are positive, and that are dedicated to being the best at whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm. But
you're also dealing with the infrastructure and the backbone of it that is tremendously an accelerant for whatever you're doing online, if you work it. If you plug in and work it, unbelievable, because of power backlinking, because of the social media, because of the events, and just because of the interaction with who you're interacting. Very, very, very tremendous investment.
Yeah. DNET is a necessity. I mean, to us, when we designed the infrastructure, the methodology behind it, it was designed as a solution because there's a whole bunch of problems. So it was strictly a solution-based system and methodology that was designed to be able to help business owners come into a community, in that community become educated, through their education, develop a network, through the network gain accountability, and then through the accountability develop a collaborative marketing structure so that they do not feel like they're sitting out there as a solopreneur working independently, but they feel like they're part of a movement. Mm-hmm. And they have a team, an infrastructure, support system that, quite frankly, if you're in DNET and you're paying $40 a month, but you have 30 people that are sharing and retweeting and posting and liking and so forth, your content, your pages and so forth, do you know what you would pay an SEO and social media agency to be able to do that? And I mean, my company offers those services. I have companies that pay between $1,000 a month and $15,000 a month for us to do those services. And I've presented DNET as an option if they want to do it yourself model, and they're like, no, we'd rather pay you. Okay. But I use DNET in order to be able to deliver the services I provide to our clients that pay that kind of money for it, when in actuality, for a couple $100 or $100, they could be doing it themselves. So it's not that they need to. It depends on the size of the company, but DNET is it is, we as a group, as a unit, are so much stronger than we are as individuals. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. In a team environment, you are always stronger than the power of one. And you're right. And I love the fact that DNET tends to attract and retain. I'm going to say those two things.
Yeah.
The exact people who I want to be a part of, the exact people who I want to network. And you know what? I love natural selection. I don't have time to be friends with everybody. I don't have time to meet with everybody. I sure the heck don't have time to get in my car or get dressed, get all prettied up, figure out what shoes I'm going to wear, matches what handbag, drive to a networking event to meet my 20 people who all stand up and do their 30-second presentation like Groundhog's Day every week. I don't have that.
Right.
I don't, whatever it is that told small business owners that that's the way to network, stop it. That is the biggest, I don't know how to explain it, but that is ridiculous. You and I are, this is the first time you and I have physically met.
Yes, true.
And
we're not even physically met.
No, I know, and I feel like it, though. I like virtual hug. So, but think about the power of this. You have somebody that drives out to a networking event, sits in there, does their 30-second random commercial with a bunch of 20 people trying to sell their wares and tears to each other. And then you even have worse situations where you have organizations that require you're the only protected industry person. So they're teaching you to feel like you need to operate in the Red Sea instead of you understanding that this is a blue ocean environment. The bigger your network, the broader your business, not the smaller, more protected, more secure and safe that you feel. That is, like, it is an oxymoron. It goes against anything logical. And then they tell you, you got to go do mandatory, go meet with 7 people out of this group. Why only 2 of them might be good connections for me? I want to meet with the right people who have databases full of my ideal clients, but they sell a different product or service. And both people can come to the table with more than an appetite. Right. I don't see that in the networking events. Most of the time you see a bunch of people with crappy websites, horrible businesses, and the worst thing, I shouldn't say horrible businesses. I should say businesses that are relatively self-sustaining at best. I don't want that. I want a growing, thriving business making higher profits, more revenue. I want a growing business, and the only way I'm going to get there is to surround myself with people who want the same thing. And DNet is that. It weeds out the stuff that just doesn't make sense in my world. Everybody has different goals. Right. But you're right. The type of people who participate in DNet, they want it. They show up, they suit up, they participate, they learn. The power of that site. If you own your own website, Google cares about 3 things. Are you relevant, which has to do with how you label your content? Right. Are you current, which has to do with how frequent you post content? And are you trusted, meaning do other people like your content? Thumbs up, Google+, +1, 3 tweets, Facebook recommends, blah, blah, blah. Backlinks and so forth. That's the basics. That's it. It's the same in business as it is in offline as it is online. In our businesses offline, are we relevant? Do we know what we're talking about? Are we current? Are we speaking on a regular basis? You stop speaking, you stop selling. And are you trusted? Do you have third-party testimonials or recommendations? Well, it is so simple. It is Google Hangouts coming in like crazy. So it really is very, very simple. Online, it's the same thing. Now, on your own website, you might be able to commit to putting out an article a week, an article a day at best. In DNet's environment, if you take 500 business owners all contributing an article a day, you're talking about massive power. You have 500 business owners all committing to liking each other's pages, pushing out each other's content, liking, commenting, resharing, +1ing, and you have backlinks into your own website. It is, you can go pay an SEO company $5,000 a month to do your backlinking for you, or you can pay 40 or $100 or $250 if you want your own TV show and get into the DNet environment and surround yourself by people that are going to help you with your business grow. It's just a no-brainer. And really helping. And that's something that, you know, because you make mistakes. I make mistakes. You make mistakes. There's things that are hard. Everything's moving and changing, and if we're not making mistakes, then that's not good. But with DNet, you know, if you're trying, we'll try to help. We'll try to help. We'll try to encourage. We're going to get it going, and it's a supportive environment. It's challenging. You do need to bring your A game, but we're human too, and I love that. Yeah. So Jennifer, I know you've got another call. Thank you so much. All your information is going to be just linked out the wazoo. So people go to 12steproadmap.com, dnettv.com, CI Web Group, Sales Supply Chain,
And stay connected with Jennifer and watch her. And if you just need something to do to inspire you, go to YouTube, search Jennifer Bagley, and see some of her keynote speeches from when she's speaking around. An amazing, amazing speaker, brilliant, and she gets right to the heart of it. If you're going to be in business, take it serious, be successful, and align yourself with people that are going to take you to the top, because that's where they want to be. Because we want to make a difference in the world, Jennifer.
Absolutely.
And I believe we're doing it together.
Absolutely. You are, I cannot say thank you enough. You stepped into the organization. You didn't just step in and participate. You stepped in and took an immediate leadership role. I have seen your name and heard other people talking about you more than anybody else in the network, faster than anybody else in the network. Girl, you got your game going on, because it is, I just have to say thank you. I mean, sincerely, thank you so much. You don't require pushing, prodding, nothing. No one has to. You hold yourself accountable. You step up and you do it every day, and you are an absolute leader and an example to anybody that is looking for somebody to follow or pay attention to. You have my attention 100%, and I just want to say thank you again.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. All right, darling. You're not going to get to shoot the bull because we don't have time, but we shot a couple of them just stone cold dead.
Awesome. Thank you.
No more. All right. Bye.
Bye, hon. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for visiting the Big Business Zoo and our speaker series, Increase Your Sales, Network, and Site Rank. Featuring today, 12-step online visibility with today's guest, Jennifer Bagley. If you loved what we had to share, check out the show notes on this page where we have links, references, and a free gift provided by our speaker. A transcript as well as a podcast version of today's episode is also available on our show notes page. Subscribing to the podcasts, videos, and articles in this series is a service designed to benefit you in your business, your media efforts, and in designing a lifestyle of joy and excellence. Please note that the Shoot the Bull podcast episodes, due to their candid nature, are available to subscribers only at bigbusinesszoo.com. You can also find more videos, articles, resources, and podcasts for this series on bigbusinesszoo.com, dnettv.com, Podcast Alley, and iTunes. You can connect with our beloved zookeeper, profitability strategist, and marketing maven, Catherine B. Trainer, on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and bigbusinesszoo.com. We make our videos and podcasts as shareable as possible, but please use digital rights respect for the content created here, or you could be banished from the zoo to the circus with the other clowns. This has been a production of Big Business Zoo Media, part of Big Business Zoo LLC, all rights reserved.